Frequently asked question number 47. Can I use fine sand for succulents? Now guys, this is one of the questions that is asked repeatedly by a lot of people, because as I've spoken about this, I tend to use aquarium sand because it tends to work out really well. As you might have seen, all of my pots have these aquarium sand that I tend to use. But if you tend to notice this sand, let me give you a closer look. If you tend to look at it closer, it's not very fine. It is very granular. That's the reason why I advise you to go for aquarium sand, because it's more granular compared to the fine sand. Now the fine sand, the issue with fine sand is because it's very fine, it tends to retain moisture. Apart from that, if you're going to use garden soil, it tends to get compact with garden soil because it's very fine. So there is a high chance that the fine sand can get compact. Ideally, the river sand is something that is very fine, because what I have seen is a lot of people asking, can we use river sand? Now if the river sand is very fine, I would say you can use it, but then you'll have to use perlite or pumice along with that so that it does not get compact. Or what you can do is, if you can go to an aquarium shop and ask them for the sand, the aquarium gravel or the aquarium sand, you can ask them for something that is like, for example, now this is my pumice. When I had purchased the pumice, now this size of this pumice is between 1 to 2 mm. So if you can get a sand that is slightly smaller than 1 mm, or let's say smaller than 2 mm, I think that is going to work out really well. So this, I don't know how to measure it, but this is what was sold to me, because there were different sizes, granular sizes of pumice. This is the smallest size. After this, I think there is no size lower than 1 mm. So this was between 1 mm to 2 mm. So you can see it is very gritty and very grainy. So this is pumice. And then over here I have perlite as well. So I think the perlite is also of the same size. What I believe, it's almost 2 mm or maybe 2 mm. But this is between 1 to 2 mm, and I think this must be approximately 2 mm. This is perlite and this is pumice. You can see it's already flying in my hand with the slightest breeze. So this is perlite and this is pumice. So you can see 1 to 2 mm, and this is, I think, 2 mm. So if you can have sand granules that are around 1 mm, I think that is going to work out really well, because I feel that this sand is a little bit granular, probably 1 mm, because the size is almost the same. There are a little bigger granules in it, due to which the soil does not get very compact. But let's say if you're using fine sand, then I would say you can use either perlite or pumice, but I would always recommend to go with pumice, because as you can see, the slight wind, as you can see, the perlite is already starting to move. It's very light, but as you can see, pumice is even a little bit more heavier and more dense than perlite. So I would prefer to go with pumice rather than perlite. So I'll quickly close the box of perlite, because guys, perlite can be slightly tricky. Always use a mask whenever you're working with perlite, because the dust of perlite can hamper or harm your lungs if it's in a large quantity. So always ensure that it is kept in an airtight box so that it does not fly. And whenever you're working with perlite, always ensure that you're using a mask, because the dust from the perlite can definitely harm your lungs. So you want to be very careful, especially right now in the current situation with COVID. I think lungs are something that you need to protect at all given point of time. So always keep your perlite in a closed container so that the dust does not fly off. But whereas I seen that pumice is much more dense, it does not fly off very easily. But again, there are fine dust in this. It's always better to use a mask even when you're working with pumice. But as I said, if the granules are larger enough, it is going to work out really well. So I'll just add this in the soil, and I'm going to show you the. So you can see my sand granules are almost as good as the pumice granules. That's the reason why I usually do not use pumice quite often. I had just bought it for the videos, to show in the videos how it tends to look like. But you can see my sand is almost as big as the pumice. So that's the reason why I do not use pumice or perlite, because my sand is already very gritty. The granules are very large, and it does not require any more further materials to make it even more porous, because it's already very porous. So this is what it is. So guys, if you don't have any other option, you only have fine sand, it's okay to use fine sand. But then also tend to use a good amount of pumice or perlite. I would say go with pumice more. Pumice is readily available online, or you can even go to your garden center. You will find pumice. They are of different sizes. You can select it accordingly. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and thank you so much for watching.